It's now known as the Battle of Rezangla, that was fought late 17th night into 18th morning, November, and it was about this incredible group.
Would you say that you're drawn to the stories of men who strove to do extraordinary things?
If you want to think of it as a hero's journey, but it doesn't necessarily always need to be a larger than life. I've loved films where there are larger than life characters who just are who they are.
Right.
You know, and there's no need for any emotional backstory or any such thing, and you can enjoy those films absolutely. Like I was watching The Entertainers of the time, but somehow, and they were entertaining, and more often than not, if you wanted to repeat view something at that time, you'd end up repeat viewing an entertaining movie, you know, as a kid.
क्योंकि तुम अच्छे इंसान हो. So it's a very simple line.
You know, I mean, I feel great about the love that film still gets here.
Juicy, spark the happiness, quench your thirst naturally.
Aashik, India's #1 trusted gold buyers. We release pledged gold instant cash payment.
Very happy to be talking to you, Farhan Akhtar.
Thank you so much.
So you have 120 Bahadur coming out, and the first thing I noticed about the poster is that it doesn't have any face on it.
Yeah, this is before they cast me.
Okay. So now it has your face.
No. No, this was just, I think, an announcement that this film is being made.
Okay.
So actually, at this point, even the look wasn't done. My hair is hidden below the helmet. So yeah, it was a different time. So it was just an announcement.
Okay, all right. I just thought it was a very modest poster, and you said, I don't want any faces on the poster or something like that. So when you take up, let's say, 120 Bahadur, right? Do you say, this is a story that needs to be told? Is that the consideration first? Or is it, this is a part that I want to play?
It's a bit of both, no? I mean, because even if it's not a non-fictional film, when you hear a great script, it feels like a story that needs to be told.
Right.
You know, in some kind of way. But there is an added excitement, an added challenge, an added responsibility, you know, when it's about somebody who you're representing. So it does add to the fact that you take it a lot more seriously when you're making a decision, because it's not, I mean, it will affect, if not many other people, at least the one family who trusted you to do it.
Right.
You know, so there is that. But I'm just grateful, yeah, that it came.
So you're playing Major Shaitan Singh.
Major Shaitan Singh Bhati.
And this is a story set in the backdrop
So
of
it's set in the 1962 Indochina War. And it's famously been, it's now known as the Battle of Rezangla. That was fought from late 17th night into 18th morning, November. And it was about this incredible group of 120 Ahir soldiers led by the Major Shaitan Singh Bhati, who's a Rajput, led by him. And they basically held off close to, I mean, there were 3,000 Chinese advancing to cross over from Rezangla, and they held them off over that one night, which was a major victory in a war that's generally considered as one that India didn't win.
So when you consider this film, 120 Bahadur, Tufan, Bhag Milka Bhag, or even the one that you directed, Laksh.
Yes.
Would you say that you're drawn to the stories of men who strove to do extraordinary things?
I mean, to a certain extent, you know, I mean, they don't have to be extraordinary people to start with. I mean, even in a film, like say, for example, a film like Sky is Pink, it's a story of ordinary people, but who really did extraordinary things, you know, to keep their daughter alive. So it's, I mean, if you want to think of it as a hero's journey, but it doesn't necessarily always need to be a larger than life character, you know, but there should be something for a person to draw from when they watch a story that I like to associate myself with. So, I mean, even if it's a film like Rock On, or it's a film like A Luck by Chance, you know, there's something more there than just entertainment for the sake of entertainment. Because I like that relatability, that you can see something in a character that is being played, even when I'm watching it as an audience. You know, that there is something about this person that I can relate to in some kind of way. To me, that is important.
It's interesting that you mentioned Luck by Chance, because that's one of my favorite characters that you've played. And I think it's a fantastic film, a debut film. It's just all sorts of awesome. But that's also one of the most naked depictions of ambition that we've come across. Because usually arcs are like, you start off like maybe bad and then discover the good or something like that.
Yeah.
And here it's not, I'm not saying the guy's evil or something, but he starts off like a regular guy, but then he discovers that he's willing to shed a lot of what makes him a good person to get where he wants to be. What part of that makes you say that's relatable? Because you just said that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, there is an aspect of people who are willing to sell parts of their soul to become famous and to be successful. And it's a nice mirror, another film. I mean, it's when you watch somebody else go through it, you're like, man, that's not nice. He shouldn't have behaved that way. Because you're right, it's not evil.
Yeah.
It's actually sacrificing certain aspects of your character, in lieu of something that's materialistic.
Right.
In lieu of something that's bigger than integrity.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody else do it, it can maybe serve as a reminder of maybe something that you're struggling with in your life.
Yeah.
Should I not?
Yeah.
And it holds a mirror up, So for me, that aspect, even so, it's not about playing the good guy.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Vikram is also a victim of circumstance. Success matters tremendously to him. And we see how people around him also change when he's successful. I mean, his aunt, who he's a burden, when he's living with her, the minute he has this one successful kind of film happening, her entire demeanor has changed towards him, So it's easy to get lost in that world, but he succumbs. He lets go of his integrity.
Yeah, and I really think that I know that there's no such thing that only one such person can make one such film, but I just felt that watching that only somebody from the inside could have made such a film. I don't know, I'm just like, it just felt to me that there was so much truth in that about the industry, or even something about that naked ambition, success.
Yeah,
so on.
I think possibly anybody could make a film about somebody struggling to make it in the film industry. We've seen films people are struggling to make it in the corporate world. They're made by filmmakers who've never been in that world. But I would imagine that in the films that we have made about a world that we are not very familiar with, we must be lacking a certain nuance that exists that somebody who's living there knows.
Okay.
So I think Zoya was able to bring that nuance to it.
Right.
That she somehow managed to make every character grey.
Right.
Like everybody had something that they had let go of to get something else.
Yeah.
And in lieu of that, they were being used by someone else. So it was a really, like, that script was really was an amazing script.
Amazing script. Yeah. Now, the other thing that connects some of your characters to me is, like, if you look at Karthik, there's a schizophrenic element to it, multiple personality disorder. I don't think it's a spoiler anymore. So
I would hope not.
I would hope not. Yeah. And then there's Sky's Pink, like you mentioned. There's this daughter stuff happening. There's Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, where you have a father relationship issue, abandonment issue. There's a bunch of stuff. Do you think you're also drawn to characters that have certain psychological or where you have to explore a certain kind of psyche?
I mean, it's always nice to have something that you can, like, emotionally cling on to.
Okay.
To make you in the film. That always does help. Otherwise, you could end up being a little unidimensional.
Okay.
And it's fine. I mean, I've loved films where there are larger than life characters who just are who they are.
Right.
And there's no need for any emotional backstory or any such thing. And you can enjoy those films, absolutely. I've directed films like that. Like, to me, Dawn is one such film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a film about a character, you don't know where he came from, but you just love the guy.
Yeah.
And you can create your own backstory to him when you're watching the film.
Right.
So that's enjoyable as well. But when I'm, I don't know, maybe it's when I'm looking for something to perform in, I somehow need that, and I think that comes from watching films and loving the films that I've loved growing up.
Okay.
To me, drama was a huge part of my consumption when I was growing up. I mean, of course, everyone enjoys a comedy, you enjoy the musical. But for me, when I was growing up, like a a drama meant like a proper film. The rest was entertainment, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and whenever you watched a good drama, the characters were always written very layered. So that somehow has stayed with me. So that excites me when I have to do it.
So in theory, let's assume, because your character is in a way the comedy track of the film, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
sure.
Like
Sure.
because you're kind of doing these white
Yeah.
tracks all the time.
Yeah.
But that's this is also a facade.
It is, absolutely.
Because it's like he's hiding.
Yeah,
The people with the most pain sometimes
Yeah.
make the best.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
want to say
Yeah.
that they're the opposite. What if the character had, just hypothetically, remained just a comic relief? Would you have played the character?
I don't think Zoe and Rima would have written that.
No, that's what I'm saying, hypothetically, yeah.
I mean, if the scenes were great and if, maybe yes. Maybe yes, of course. But I mean, it did help that the whole being irreverent and being like he doesn't give a damn about anything came from a place of serious hurt and serious pain.
Yeah.
That added a lot of value to the character of Imran.
Can you just mention some of the dramas that you said that you liked while growing up?
Oh, there are many actually. I mean, I think one that's probably on the top 3 of everybody's list is The Godfather.
Okay.
That always sits up there. 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
I mean, like each character in that, they've got like few moments. There's one moment that belongs to each character.
Yeah.
But within that moment, you get a great sense of who they are and where they're from and why they are the way they are. There was that. The list can go on and on.
I was just suddenly remembered. I just remembered a movie, Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes,
because I saw that when I was a kid. When I don't think I was supposed to be watching that. In the sense that I don't think I had the faculties to understand that completely.
Right.
But I think that's when something must have clicked in me that I like certain films that other kids my age were not liking.
Right.
Because I was watching this movie where I was not fully getting it, but something was like keeping me hooked. And I think this is a drama.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, see, that's the thing. I mean, as kids, you watch everything.
Yeah.
Like I was watching the entertainers of the time. But somehow, and they were entertaining. And more often than not, if you wanted to repeat view something at that time, you'd end up repeat viewing an entertaining movie, as a kid. But what meant serious filmmaking was the drama.
Yeah.
Like, strangely enough.
Yeah. But what explains your inexplicable love for Kranti to other people?
It was a very entertaining film. I mean, it was like period. It was epic. It was probably, it was made at a scale which was unheard of
At that time,
for its time. So just to watch, after seeing the like the Ben-Hurs and those movies of the world, to have something of this scale in costume drama happening in Hindi was a very exciting thing. And there were enjoyable scenes, enjoyable moments.
I guess it's also because we sometimes tend to stereotype people, right? As to like, oh, Farhan makes these kinds of movies, so these are the kind of movies that he watches.
And actually, if you think about it, the core story of that film is a very, very strong emotional. It has a great emotional core. The story which kept you hooked and it kept you going.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you one of my all-time favorite romantic scenes in Hindi cinema, and it's in Laksh. It's a scene where Hrithik is lying on Preeti's lap. It's basically he's saying, why does a girl like you love a guy like me? And she says a bunch of things, but after that she ends up by saying, "Kyunki tum achhe insaan ho." So it's a very simple line. And he likes that, but he also is a bit confused, and that also becomes a bit of a validation for him. So he smiles like, "Chalo, I got a nice compliment," kind of a thing, It's so layered in that term because it's not, and it's a love scene where love scene, a declaration of love or whatever is typically a big thing. Here it's played at a very minor key. And there's no music. It's just the performances. The way it's shot is so minimalistic, if you will. There's it's so true. It rang so true. The film has story, screenplay, dialogues by Javed Akhtar. That's what the credits say. But to me, the scene is you in a nutshell. Would you agree? That sensibility?
To a certain extent, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember when we were working on that script, Dad was also very, very open about saying that when we get into the college life of these guys, how they'll be with each other, because he saw that in Dil Chahta Hai. He saw the way that the language was written, the way the romance was pitched. So those scenes that he collaborated with me as a director a lot more on
Okay.
than on the drama, the war scenes, the dialogue for those scenes. That was completely his domain and his strength, to be able to do that. But these we did work on more closely together, yes.
Right. So do you feel a small sense of pride or achievement that you made the defining film of the multiplex era and kind of inaugurated it, Dil Chahta Hai?
I mean, I feel great about the love that film still gets here. I mean, there's no getting around that. It's you're blessed if that happens once in your life.
Yeah.
And to happen on your first film, I mean, I don't think you can ask for more. But I mean, nobody knew that this was going to happen.
Right, but retrospectively, do you feel?
Yeah.
I'm happy I did that. Is that?
Oh
there?
yeah, of course. I mean, I'm very proud of the work on that film. Not just my own. I mean, of everyone who came together.
Right.
There were many firsts that were happening on that film. So for it to come together and be so memorable for everybody who experienced it even in a theatre, is something to be very happy about.
When was the last time you saw that film?
I honestly can't remember.
So quite a while ago.
I've seen a portion of it when, I'm trying to remember when, and I can't remember how many years back. But let me tell you quite a funny story. When Shibani and I met, so Shibani had moved to India in 2008. And 2008 was the year that I did Rock On. So when she kind of came here and got familiar with the film world and this, that and the other, she thought I was an actor. She had no idea I directed before this. So when we met and we started talking, so she said, Acha, and we spoke about films. And so I said, I used to direct before. And she's like, so what did you do? So I said, I did this film and that film. So she's like, oh, I haven't seen them. So she had not seen Dil Chahta Hai. So then all her friends obviously rallied and they were like, are you crazy? You have to watch that film. So many years later, at one moment in time, when we were living together, I had come home and she was watching that film. And it was kind of in the second half heading towards the end of the film. And I watched that bit with her. It was, I'm trying to remember where I picked it up from. It was somewhere in Australia when Preeti and Amir are together. And that I watched, but I haven't seen the whole film now.
How did you feel?
Weirdly enough, it felt like it was such a long time ago. And on another, it felt like it was just yesterday.
But was it engaging to you? Like did you feel it, or did you feel distant as if it's something else? Or?
No, I mean, I could. I mean, I sat down and I enjoyed it,
Okay.
because I was watching it also after a while. So it felt good to watch it.
Right. When a director watches a film,
Yeah.
is it possible to watch a film as a film, or do all the memories associated with scenes and stuff also keep coming in?
They do come back once in a while, for sure. I mean, they didn't come back on every scene.
Okay.
But there are certain moments that you remember because maybe, whether it's just a technical thing that made it make, or then an actor's discussion that went on, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you remember all that, but not really anything apart from
Okay. Okay. With Laksh and Dil Chahta Hai, they just seem so personal. Can you briefly say where the germ of both the ideas came about? I heard that Dil Chahta Hai was initially just a story of a love story.
Yeah, that's true. No, actually, it was a combination of two things. So, what I was doing was I was writing, for the lack of another way to put it, a memoir
Okay.
of travels to Goa with friends.
Okay.
Just as
Like a book?
No, as a writing exercise.
Okay.
As a writing exercise, I was working on just putting thoughts down, memories down of time spent with friends in Goa. And I thought I'd like kind of create a little, I don't know, maybe 50 pages or 60 pages of something and hand it out to all my friends. They could then keep it, and maybe who knows how many years from then, when they'd read it, they'd have a laugh. So while I was doing that, another friend of mine who works with us now, he's a producer at Excel and has been credited as, has a co-story credit on Dil Chahta Hai. His name is Qasim Jagmagia. So he met me with an idea that he had for a love story. And the idea that he had for the love story was eventually the love story that became the Amir and Preeti love story in the film, which is completely fictional. So when I wrote that love story out, it felt like it was fun. It's about a guy who doesn't, and at that time that was very common in the 90s,
Right.
a guy who doesn't believe in love, then meets the girl of his dreams and changes.
Yeah.
We had many films like this at that time. So it didn't feel novel to me. It felt like, there were some funny moments and some things going on, but not unique.
Right.
And then while I was writing that, it had that very typical structure and graph of a guy who has a group of friends, and then when he falls in love, he abandons all his friends. And you never hear what happens to them again till the end of the film. You know, when they get married, the friends land up with bouquets and they come in the last frame for the happy photo. So I was like, let me give them some life, you know, and make those scenes more fun with the friends. And when I started working on that and borrowing from what I had written in my Goa diaries, so to speak, it started then taking on a life of its own. And the film shifted from being that love story to being actually a love story of friends, is what it became about. So that's kind of how it happened.
Your mother recently said that she expected you to become an actor, but never a writer.
Yeah, she did, because I used to role play a lot when I was young. I used to lie a lot, but then lying can also mean storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, so I think because of my great performances as a liar, she thought maybe I'll be a better actor. But I loved entertaining people.
Okay.
I used to love, whether it was through music or through imitation, I would love just love making people laugh and entertaining them. Like I'd remember entire passages of films that I could verbatim enact all the roles of and do all that stuff. So maybe that's why she felt that that's probably the route I would go down. But I was never comfortable in my skin to be able to do that. I just wasn't. I always felt like a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident about myself and my ability when I was behind the camera.
And now you're an actor.
And now I'm an actor. Yeah, so it's been a journey and it's happened the way it has.
So how do you
But
explain
not
that?
at all when I was young.
How do you explain the transition then?
It's actually just through experience. You know, I don't think I would have acted if it wasn't for Rock On. I don't think I would have acted at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't done that film and experienced what it felt like to perform a part, if it wasn't for that film, I don't think I would have had the courage to take something else on. If another role, for example, if Luck by Chance had come to me as the first, I was producing Luck by Chance. Zoya was ready to make that film in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
We finally made it in 2009. So for 7 years, I was involved in that film as a producer. So it took me to do Rock On and feel like, you know what, actually this is something I can do.
Right.
To then tell Zoya, I love that script. We've lived with it for 7 years trying to get someone to do it. I'll do it. You know, but I never felt comfortable saying yes to it because I didn't think I could do justice to that part.
Right.
I didn't think I was a good enough actor to do it. But somehow Rock On gave me a sense of confidence that, it's possible for you to do it.
But Rock On gave you that sense of confidence. But what gave you the sense, what made you take Rock On? For somebody not comfortable doing
Two things. Actually, three things.
Okay.
One, I absolutely loved the story.
Okay.
Absolutely loved it. Second, the fact that it was about rock music.
Okay.
And that it was set in Mumbai.
Right.
That I'm also from a city guy.
Yeah.
It made me very comfortable because that is a milieu that I was very comfortable with. I was like, I don't have to behave like something that I'm not and pretend to be a character from somewhere else that I won't be able to do. So that was the second thing that made me feel a bit comfortable. And then the third and the most important one actually was the belief that Abhishek had that it had to be me.
Right.
So he was just hell-bent and adamant. He's like, you just have to do it. And I've known him for years before that. So it wasn't somebody that I just bumped into.
Right.
And he was convinced. And so I went with his belief on it. Had a great time making that film. And that just opened like a door, in my mind.
When you entered that set, there were no inhibitions.
There were a few. But again, I think because of what the film was about, I wasn't struggling with can I be this guy? Because I was already that guy.
Right.
So it wasn't so far removed from my
reality.
Yeah.
You just spoke about rock music, and I just had a flash of Amir sitting alone in his room with Sting playing Dil Chahta Hai. I forget the song, but I just distinctly remember Sting.
That's right.
You said that was your reality, so it kind of came a little bit easily to you.
It did.
What about 120 Bahadur? It's somebody else's reality. It's also a different kind of milieu.
Yeah.
how does that kind of...
No, so honestly, yeah, like through the years now, like I've learned with experience of how to be able to maneuver myself, to be able to like understand and bring to life a person who's from a completely different world
Okay.
than I am. And I think the first step towards that was Bhag Milka Bhag.
Okay.
To me, was the first step towards that, because I mean that was so far removed from my reality. You know, I mean, a village boy, a child of partition, not educated, a very different understanding of life, different life experience completely, also set in a different era in terms of time. So to me, that was the first really, really challenging role that I did take on. And what you do realize is, if the writing is good, that helps tremendously, because
Right.
I mean that gives you the fuel, the fodder, the ammunition, whatever you want to call it, that you need to be able to perform.
Right.
So you end up realizing whenever it's films that are going to be challenging in terms of what they ask of you, you have to be very sure about your faith and trust in the director and the writer.
Juicy, spark the happiness, quench your thirst naturally.
Aashik, India's #1 trusted gold buyers. We release pledged gold instant cash payment.